Welcome to this tutorial on editing a project in TAME. For this, we'll use our tutorial project of the Deerfield River from the previous videos. Now let's say we want to update the dataset or change some of the other project configuration settings. To do so, we'll start by clicking the Edit button, and this will open the same multi-step form we used to create the project originally. In the first step, we can update the dataset. For example, maybe we've collected more data, or we've calculated some new variables. Note that originally we had about 3,000 rows. If I select the file containing the updated dataset from my computer, then we see that this new file has over 4,000 rows. And also there is an additional column named Season. And one thing to note is that TAME does not support appending new rows to an existing dataset. So if you're going to update your dataset, you must replace the whole thing. Also note that TAME does not support data versioning. So once you update the dataset, there's no way to go back to a previous version other than reloading the original file. Once the file is loaded, TAME will check the remaining settings and see if there are any new errors in any of the steps. And we see there is an error on the second step, so let's take a look at that. And the problem is that the ID column is no longer specified. And this highlights one common issue when updating a dataset, which is that you might rename one or more columns, and then TAME will no longer know which column goes with each primary variable. But we can fix that just by selecting the new column from the dropdown. And so here the original column, which was ID, has now been renamed to Tag ID. Another similar problem is to forget to format the timestamp column to use year, month, day format. In that case, you'll need to reformat the column in Excel and then reload it in the first step. But now everything looks good, so we can go to the next step. And here we've got the original 3 variables, as well as the new 4th variable for season. So we can edit the label for that. We'll leave the default option selected. And then we'll continue on to the dataset aggregation step. Now our dataset is still relatively small, so no aggregation is necessary. But if it were much larger and had more than 10,000 rows, then TAME would recommend choosing one of the 2 aggregation methods, as it would for any new project. But we're good for now, so we'll continue to the last step. And here TAME warns us that these changes will not be automatically saved to the server. In other words, the new dataset will only be used locally within the browser. If I close the project now, that change would be lost. So in order to upload the new dataset to the server, I simply need to save the project again. So let's save these changes first and check that the new dataset was loaded correctly. And we see that TAME now has over 4,000 rows reflecting this new dataset. So now I'll click the Save button to save these updates to the server. And I'll make a note in the description saying the dataset was updated today. And then I click Submit. And now, if I go to the Load Project screen, we see that the project has indeed been updated on the server. And that wraps up this tutorial on editing a project in TAME. Be sure to check out more of our videos as they become available.